everybody. This is Miss Sonia Gidla, the principal of Douglas Memorial Higher Secondary School, and I welcome you to my talk show, Talk the Talk. And today we are filming the ninth episode, and today we'll be talking all about the importance of mental health and mental well being. So, I cannot even begin to tell you how important it is in today's time. Mental health, it is as important as our physical health, and after years and years of active campaigning in the form of workshops, seminars, webinars and rallies, people have just started to realize and recognize, understand and acknowledge how important mental health is. So today I have a very special guest. Our guest speaker for today is Ms. Saloni Priya, one of the renowned psychologists in India, who is here to throw light on the various aspects of mental health and also debunk some of the surrounding myths and misconceptions about mental health. So before jumping into the conversation with Ms. Saloni Priya, I would just like to introduce her to all my viewers. So Mrs. Saloni Priya is the director of Ummeed Counseling and Consulting Services. She's a counseling psychologist, HR trainer, and educational consultant. She has been a practicing psychologist for over 24 years in the field of mental health. She has been consultant to more than 25 institutions across the country. She has created new possibilities by certifying more than 25,000 educators in more than 700 educational institutions across 18 states in India and 5 countries on the concept of teachers as pastoral guides who are now working towards developing life skills in youth and prevention of addiction, aggression and abuse in adolescent population in particular. In last 10 years, she has also devised need-based training for educational groups, social enterprises, NGOs as well as education boards on topics of life skills, gender sensitivity, social causes, mindset, building sensitivity, etc. She has also conceptualized and conducted more than 100 workshops on child safety, abuse prevention, POCSO law, RTE, and teachers' role in child's rights. She is a life member for Indian Council of Health Psychology, life member of Christian Counseling Center, Vellore, the life member of American Schools Association and member of University of Women's Association. She was also awarded the Lion International Award for Education Entrepreneurship and also awarded the Best School Project in 2002 and again in 2014. She also received the Rotary Award for Best Women Entrepreneurship for Ummeed. She has been recognized by Mentor magazine as a leading voice in education in the country and is on the advisor board. She has been the contributor to Progressive Educator magazine, starting the Positive Psychology Humanistic Wave. So, ma'am, I welcome you today to this podcast. Thank you so much, ma'am, for doing this. How are you feeling today, ma'am? That will be my first question to you.
Absolutely on cloud nine. I feel elated to be with this wonderful young lady, and talk the talk is just what we need nowadays. We need to talk, listen, and understand each other to carry on in these tough times, Sonia. So,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you so much for having me, and my good wishes to all our fraternity of educators and school managements and people from all walks of life who are joining, because we are all who are believers and we are warriors who have to carry on.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. The next question that I would like to ask you is, ma'am, where does India stand when it comes to mental health today?
I would say we are in a process of evolving. Mental health, as you rightly said, these two words were not joined earlier in the mainstream of the Indian context. When people talked health, they were more focused on physical
Physical
health.
health.
It is very ironical because today the Ayurvedic practices and the yogic practices and the meditation, if you go to Stanford and you go to UK, you'll have everybody using it as now a lifestyle. They were all started in the Indian spectre. But unfortunately, the diaspora today, when we talk mental, immediately people jump to an understanding, a layman's understanding. Mental means something to do with being mad.
Yeah.
And that is where, when you talk mental health, it is like an oxymoron for a lot of people, mental and health going together. So I'm very happy that thanks to this pandemic, a lot more light has been thrown on mental health. Because actually, what is mental health? It is your well-being, it is your psychological emotional well-being. And I have always advocated that emotions are our strengths.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
when you talk mental health, you basically talk that your thoughts, your actions, your feelings in your entire environment are in sync.
Hmm.
So mental health is about your internal world being in acceptance of the reality around you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is why in India, now I would say the younger generation, they are much more aware. They are much more open to understanding the mental health perspectives. The taboo, which you were talking about very rightly, I would say in the last 30 years, it is much lesser now when I go to Amity University. Just the last week, I was there addressing students. A lot more awareness is there. In the corporates, I would say they have done a big thing about accepting mental health awareness. There are a lot of psychologists today as a part of not only recruitment and appraisal teams, but hired by companies to provide mental health counseling to people in times of stress. There have been lot more educational institutions who have started making having a mental health professional mandatory. So I would say, in all, in the last decade, mental health has become a priority. You must have seen the West Bengal government also putting up mental health posters for
Yes,
awareness.
everywhere.
Yes, so the
Even
government
schools
got
have been instructed to do that, ma'am, now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You have like ICSE schools, CBSE schools have now mental health guidelines for educators. So we are definitely evolving. This term has become much more now acceptable to people. But yes, Sonia, we still have a very long way to go for people to understand that psychological well-being, being my complete self, being
Yes.
my best, has to be
Yes.
a continuous investment and journey like our health.
Hmm. I would just like to point one thing, ma'am, since you said that mental health is as important as physical health. Though we know that mind and body are two separate entities, but still both are like inextricably linked. Both are deeply
Absolutely.
intertwined. So the kind of thoughts, beliefs, attitudes that we develop from within and carry, I mean, these, sort of positively and negatively affect our biological functioning. It's very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Sonia. In fact, there is a very talked about study by this Japanese neuropsychologist. He is a neurologist who has also done psychology, and he published empirical evidence that right from common diseases like stones in kidney or heart problems, how they are directly related to a person's emotional
Yeah.
problems.
Yes.
So, and I think in our community living, it is very inhabitant that a lot of care, affection, love, care was always there for a patient. What we
Yes.
don't realize is that these were the ways in the olden times when there were no psychologist or counselor, people actually provided a lot of emotional support for healing. That is why,
Okay.
healing was something which was very, very
Hmm.
mental health related. Healing was not only related to body, it was always related to soul.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, my next question is, opening up to someone and talking about how one feels is still regarded as something very trivial and insignificant. So going back to what I, mentioned in my opening statement, that there's still a lot of taboo and stigma surrounding mental health, because when we are under the weather, when we are not feeling good, when we have fever, cold or cough, we don't think for a second, before just popping in a paracetamol or a Calpol or visiting a doctor. But when it comes to mental illness or disability, we are all hushed up. I mean, why is this happening still in our country?
A very pertinent question, Sonia, and I am sure more and more people need to talk about it openly. You must have seen recently there has been a trend that a lot of celebrities have started talking about their mental traumas and
Hmm.
shared their stories. Similarly, I can say celebrities talking about child abuse. I've
Hmm.
been doing a lot of abuse prevention, where, as you understand, people go through a lot of healing process where counseling is required. So similarly, when we are feeling low, what happens is we need more than qualification a person whom you can trust, even when it is physical ailment. You like to take an opinion from a doctor, and suppose what the doctor's diagnosis is does not match your understanding, you like to take a second opinion.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when we are feeling low, it has to do with our feelings and emotions and some of our disturbing thoughts. The first reaction, because human beings, the Darwin's principle of survival, the
Hmm.
first thing is you want to hide it. And that is why people find it very difficult to go and just seek help. But yes, over the period, Sonia, you have seen me practicing for the last 20 plus years.
Yes.
I've been around today like a student whom I saw today is a principal. That has been my 20 years of journey, Sonia. So, what I have seen is that actually what is required is that the mental health professionals have to project themselves as more humane. We are not who will make people rats and squirrels and do an experiment.
Hmm.
The entire ethos of confidentiality and respect and unconditional positive regard to a client, if this is highlighted more, like whenever I'm training people, a lot of people do certificate courses with me, I have always emphasized that you have to put yourself in a place to understand that when I feel guilty, when I feel ashamed, when I feel repentance. If you look at it, it is so difficult for you to accept it even with your loved ones. So,
Hmm.
when you are a professional who a person has to come and talk, you have to be very, very trustworthy. You have to be very non judgmental. So, these qualities of a mental health professional have to be understood by practitioners.
Yes,
A
ma'am.
lot of people, they talk about it, but they don't feel it. And that is why, there are two major reasons which my research shows me that why people still avoid going to a psychologist is one, the distinction between psychiatrist who gives medication and deals with mental illness
Hmm.
and a psychologist who deals with mental wellness, not illness, is still not very clear to me.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, just wanted to point out one thing. My next question is about that only. Since you mentioned that people hide all of these emotions and these difficulties that they are facing from their loved ones. That's why they go to a stranger and they pour their heart out. It's so ironical. I mean, you can't talk about it to your parents or maybe to your relatives, to your siblings, but you can go and talk about it to strangers.
Here,
So,
I will add something for you, Sonia.
hmm,
You can, if you look at the larger vista of the lifestyle today, how many percentage of people do a research in your school? How many of the children who are below class 7 in your school have a sibling? How many of them have a family where they have grandparents?
I know,
I
ma'am.
see a whole lot of this generation who
I
has
know.
never seen a grandparent. Forget
Yes.
about having memory. I can relate it to how it has affected. That is why, it is not that you need a stranger, you need a trustworthy professional. Why it is important to talk to a professional, not to family? Because sometimes your pain, your hurt is caused by your loved ones. You
That,
will only be pained by people who you value. So sometimes it doesn't become easy for you to go to the same person and talk about your hurt.
okay. Okay.
Like most of the students, the adolescent group I deal with, right from 13 to 23, this is the spectrum I work with the most, from universities and MBA colleges, right till school, Sonia. I
Hmm.
see that they love their parents, but their greatest guilt is I have done something wrong which will hurt my father or my mother. And
Hmm.
I would rather kill myself rather than go and talk to them. So when I do a lot of work with suicidal attempts, I realize that a lot of these uncomfortable feelings you cannot actually share with your loved ones, not because you don't love them, exactly because you love them so much, you don't want to hurt them, you don't want to fall in their eyes. Like why
Hmm.
so many children don't want to talk to the teacher? For the teacher, they want to project the perfect image they have maintained. Now I have done something very wrong. I've seen children telling me, ma'am, whatever you have told me, please trust me, ma'am, I will try to improve, ma'am, but don't tell principal, ma'am. It is not that they don't trust their principal. They don't want to fall in the eyes of the principal.
Principle.
And
Yeah.
I, as a professional, I'm a stranger. So even if I feel right or wrong about them, they can handle it.
Yes.
But I
And
don't
it's,
want my teacher to feel bad. So,
and it's,
Sonia, this is what principals, teachers, parents have to understand this. That
okay.
when a child or a teenager or a family member, like I do a lot of marital therapy, Sonia, I have had children, and this is a 26-year-old girl who has brought her mother and father for counseling. She said, "Ma'am, I know you are the only person who can help them, but they don't know what counseling is. So if I tell them to go and take a counseling, they will say I am mad."
So couple counseling you're talking about, ma'am?
Yes,
Yeah.
but the person who referred them was their own daughter. And she
Daughter.
said, "Ma'am, they have celebrated silver anniversary, but I know what is going on at home and I cannot get married leaving my parents in this stage. So they are coming to you thinking you are counseling me, but ma'am, I want you to counsel them."
Wow. That's a
So,
good step taken
times
by
are
you
changing, Sonia.
changing. Kids are
Absolutely.
understanding the scenario better than the adults, I feel. Yes.
Yeah, and I think they are more open.
Hmm.
They are, I would say, much more accepting because they are growing up in a society where they have seen the family systems are not as strong as I have seen when I was growing up.
Hmm.
Now, if you see, we have a whole lot of teenagers who have parents who themselves were single child.
Hmm.
So if you look at it, this child's social milieu of family is what? No brother and sister, no cousins. Because if the father was a single child, how would he have a cousin? So he has to actually go back the third generation that if my grandfather would have had two children, I would then have a cousin.
Then-
That is why you will see children now have more acceptance and dependence on peer group, classmates, and there is so much of talking and sharing on social media, Facebook, Insta, so much personal stuff. Why are people sharing? Because it is human nature. We want to share and we want to get acceptance and
Yeah.
affirmation. So
Yes, ma'am.
counselors, I feel, are much safer people to talk to rather than posting all kinds of things on social media, which has such, I would say, grave cyber concerns. So I
Yeah.
would really like that from your show of Talk to Talk, more and more teachers, principals, creating this acceptance that if you talk to a professional, it's absolutely fine. I think that will be the best thing to do.
Yeah. And it's better to take suggestions and advice from an expert than a layman who would be judgmental. Could
But
be.
I would again say that the layman also has a responsibility to be trained and
Yeah.
to project what makes people trust.
Yeah.
Only some degrees and a lot of certificates will not make people feel comfortable.
Yes, ma'am.
So, counseling, it's no longer a designation or a job, it's a very, very important communicative skill. That is why you see whether it is an Azim Premji or a Narayan Murthy, they call themselves mentors and coaches.
Yes.
So mentoring, coaching and counseling, they are two sides of the same coin.
So, ma'am, on that note, my next question is in countries abroad, appointments with the shrink or psychologist are quite regular and normal. People are not reluctant in sharing their private lives with the counselor. So, this profession thrives in those places. So, what is the scenario here in India?
Because I'll tell you that in the Western world, it has again taken around 30 years, 40 years for them to today make it acceptable. So you will see, I am also a life member of American Counseling School Association. Now, what have they done? They have made these associations. They have an ongoing advocacy awareness program going on, Sonia,
Hmm.
where you have national and international platforms for professionals to be licensed, to be upgraded. In India, we still don't have any such national platforms. We have a Rehabilitation Council of India, which gives some certification. But different universities, colleges have different kinds of courses. I have so many students, right from Christ University to Chicago University to Beck University to John Hopkins, who are masters in psychology. They are doing therapies and they come to meet for internship.
Hmm.
Because when nowadays, thanks to the net, when people search about counseling, many of them would get to know my work and then they. I
Because
have
of the
opened
phenomenal
doors.
work you're doing, ma'am.
No, and Sonia, I have always opened the doors of a meet for such because it's a two-way learning. And that is how I see that in the Western community, if you look at a Netflix serial, just to watch it, somewhere or the other in the seventh, 10th episode, you will have somebody seeking a psychologist help.
Yes, ma'am.
You go on for a lot of videos which are there, advocacy videos for school on bullying, on prevention of abuse, on prevention of suicides. So there has been a phenomenal amount of work done in the area of community advocacy. There is
Okay.
a lot which India still needs to do. Like I am now in Delhi, part of a cognitive society of India, and we have been running a lot of these capacity building programs. And I'm happy to see that people from journalism background, people from law background, people from social work background, like you must be knowing TIS Guwahati, a
Mm.
lot of their students came in for training. So a lot of such professional organizations have started working in India, but still institutions like schools and colleges have a very major role to play. More we are going to let, like this girl I'm talking about, I have many similar cases where somebody approaches me and I think that this is an appointment taken by somebody who's working in IBM. When the guy comes up, he smiles and he says, ma'am, you remember you came to my school, I'm from Loyola Dhanbad or I'm from Don Bosco. Then I realized that maybe the dates he's giving me 14 years back, I must have gone there. But
Okay.
then he must have been a school student sitting in a school auditorium with 200 more children in a school uniform. What is amazing is that he recognizes me and he says, ma'am, I'm getting married. I wanted a premarital counseling. And that's why I wrote to you. You are not recognizing me. And sometimes I see the girl also tells, I know, ma'am. She came
Mm.
to Loreto. I'm a Loreto passer.
That's the kind of impact you've made, ma'am, on
Thank you,
these
Sonia. But
people.
this is for me a journey which makes me feel that being around for very long, right? These are the things which make me feel I've been old now.
Hmm.
But then that is where I realize that people need lot more trust and awareness. So
Okay.
we need organizations to work on it. I would definitely appeal from your platform that more and more schools should have these awareness program of letting children know that it is important that you take care of your mental health. So
Yeah.
when you get very irritated, when you are very angry, you have an outburst, and after that you feel guilty, don't let it go. Talk about it. Learn how to deal with it. Because counseling is not about solving problems, it is enabling people to deal and cope with their problems in their own unique way. This is the part of counseling which needs to be understood by people. It is not, advice can be given by a lot more people, but counselors listen and understand. Because Sonia, God forbid, you and I, both of us can have the same problem, but the way we will find solutions will be very unique and
Different.
different.
Yeah, different. Because we're
That
all
is
different people with different
that
capacities.
that individuality is what is celebrated in counseling, by listening to a person and understanding his view.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would definitely like that in the Indian scenario, we do have some serials which have come up. I would like to quote a movie like Pink. It was a very, very social advocacy movie about gender
Yes.
sensitization.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
all saw some movies like Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, where you have your famous Shah Rukh Khan taking the role of a psychologist.
Yeah.
But more such awareness would start happening, and we do see that media has a lot of role to play there.
Mm-hmm.
So things
Absolutely. Yes,
are
ma'am.
definitely picking up, and I'm sure psychologists and counselors would be very mainstream in our lives in times to come. It is very inevitable.
Yes, ma'am. Now, my next question: depression is a term that is quite loosely used these days without giving much
Very
thought.
true.
So, ma'am, what do you think? Is clinical depression something different from being or feeling sad or lonely on days we feel low?
Absolutely. As you very rightly said, nowadays I see people joking with each other, even in a party. If one person is a little low, people will say you're looking depressed,
Rest.
as if it is just another adjective to be used. So, similarly, hyperactive. Hyperactivity is a disorder. You cannot just call anybody just because the person is very enthusiastic and very excited. You can't call a person
Even
hyperactive.
OCD, ma'am. We use
Yeah,
it so loosely.
very.
Yeah.
Anybody washing hands 2 times? You'll say you have OCD.
Was
So, these are very loosely used words which can actually hit a person's self esteem and have a very wrong impact. So, people
yeah.
need to be careful. Clinical depression is diagnosed with more than 14 symptoms. There are absolutely tools for which a clinical psychologist has to undergo a test or a psychiatrist. And
Hmm.
depression is treatable. A whole lot of people can go through depression. It can be as common as having a viral fever, because depression is largely when we feel unaccepted in our environment and we cannot cope,
Hmm.
sometimes due to loss, grief. Like when I was working with people who were victimized due to, you remember the Park Street fire?
Yes, ma'am.
Imagine all of a sudden, overnight, I have become
That
bankrupt. So
heritage, yes, yes,
people
yeah.
lost their balance and they were absolutely till 24 hours before an absolutely happy, normal person. So they were not mentally sick. It was an episode in their life which was so traumatic that many of them, they lost hope, they lost faith. That is why, whether it is a Bible or whether it is a Gita, you will see these scriptures on which our religion is based, to a very large extent, they are based on fundamental principles of counseling. They have always taught people to have faith.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
clinical depression should be diagnosed by a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist. In some cases, less than 20% cases, they might require medication. Nowadays, the current trend is that a lot of people who are psychiatrists, they are working with psychologists, because after medication, you have to help the person to come back to life, to have faith. So, religious pastors, they have always been the counselors. You remember the confession boxes?
Yes, ma'am.
When I went to Rome, I wanted to go to the St. Paul's Cathedral to see that confession box, because a lot of counseling started from there in the Western world. And
Yes,
what was it? If you accept what you have done, you can start again building your life.
yeah. It's like reviving your faith back and purging your soul.
So,
Yeah.
depression therapy to a very large extent uses neuro linguistic programming, which is about using the language of faith, creating hope and belief, where we work on the belief systems of people. And religious is one of the deepest belief system which anchors us in life.
Yes, ma'am.
And that
Certainly.
is why I would definitely request people that let's not make a joke of some of these. Like calling a person fat or cripple also hurts,
Yes, ma'am.
even if it is true. But using these kind of terms like depressed and OCD, they can be very, very damaging to person, because I've seen people who have come for counseling telling me that, ma'am, I have OCD and I am hyperactive and I have a depressive personality. I said, you are telling me this? He said, yes, ma'am. All this time, my family has been telling me that I am a depressive personality.
So the
So,
counselor need not diagnose. The patient is coming and doing his or her own diagnosis.
and that is so much tougher, Sonia, because I have to redo it and tell him that none of these are right diagnoses. You are not a
Hmm.
depressive personality. But yes, this is the term which friends have used.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a hypothetical example that this boy, his name was something like Dipankar. He said, ma'am, all my college life I have been called depressed Dipankar.
Oh my goodness, that's so sad.
And and I had to literally coach this boy to laugh and smile and understand that he has a lovely smile and he has so many strengths. And why was he becoming suicidal? He was brought to me as somebody who was very suicidal.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, especially in schools, where you're having so much of peer pressure. I mean, students have become big bullies. So they comment
Absolutely.
on your physique, they comment on different, parts of your life that they should not. And some things are very, very personal and sensitive. So I think the viewers today, I mean, the students are my viewers, the parents are my viewers. I feel that they should know how to talk to their peers, how to talk with their friends, and not to be rude and brutal with their words because it is extremely damaging.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, there is always good to have a joke, and we always had these nicknames. I remember
Yeah.
when I cried once watching a movie with my friends, my name Saloni was made Saline, and they would tease me that she's saline because tears was saline. But fun is till you enjoy, and the next person is also enjoying and can laugh. But when it starts hurting, that's the
Mm.
time when you need to draw a boundary of mutual respect. This
Yes.
is something which I think all families, we as a community, have to emphasize a little more on. Because I'm sure as a principal, you would have cases where one child is complaining, the other child says, Ma'am, I just said it in fun.
Yeah.
So I think we need to make people realize that in social relationship, what is fun? Fun not at the cost of the other person. The moment it is at the cost of the other person, it is aggression.
Yeah.
It is not fun.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, every walk of life and every age group has now been affected by this COVID outbreak. And since you work with a larger community, ma'am, what's your insight and your suggestions about, this pandemic time?
I would respond to pandemic with mixed feelings because it has done some good and it has definitely brought in some realizations for us. Like in pandemic, I think with restriction of movement, a lot of people have been able to introspect and go back to basics to realize what is the focus of my life. Many people have found new vocations. Many
Mm.
people have revamped their lifestyle for a more healthier, more environmental friendly lifestyle. But like you all must have heard about that pollution went down. A lot of families, they rediscovered their bonding, staying with each other. I had so many children who have been boarding school, being at home now for the 6 7 months. Initially it was very boring for them, very difficult, but then they had a different relationship with their parents. They
Mm.
started realizing that this girl, she spoke to me, she said, Ma'am, I've been in the hostel for since class 6. My parents live in a very small town in UP. But
Mm.
now, ma'am, during this pandemic, when I've been with my family, now I'm in class 11. For the first time, I've realized so many issues in my family which I was not aware of. I feel more responsible. This boy shared, he said, Ma'am, I've been in a public school since class 5. But ma'am, this time being at home, last all these years, home was vacation, buying things, packing, eating, and going back. This time I realized that how much maybe we have taken our mother for granted. Ma'am, I am telling you, it will sound very melodramatic to you, but ma'am, I this time feel as if my mother has grown old. I said, this is what is sensitivity. And now, so pandemic has done a lot of good things also for
Yes,
people.
ma'am.
The other side of it, which I definitely see in the larger community, is that people have to understand the importance of mental well-being. Pandemic has brought that very clear to everybody. This is the time, how were the people who broke down and who were the people in very difficult circumstances, they revamped themselves, they revived, and they were rejuvenated. So, what was this? This was the inner strength which comes in from your belief systems, and that is your approach. We have started talking attitudes, and we say you wear your attitude, but attitude became a very loosely coined word, which was more about being what you say and what you wear rather than what you believe and what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
So, mental health, I think there was a huge acceptance worldwide. So, I had these people in Australian universities and New Zealand doing meditation, doing yoga, finding peace. Stress was understood. We have been hearing a lot that even a disease like diabetes and heart attack is not actually a disease, it is a lifestyle disorder.
It is, ma'am.
Pandemic did bring this. So, a lot of health, I would say, consciousness grew. Maybe we were doing it to save ourselves from coronavirus, but then we hit the bullseye by
Yeah.
realizing ultimately what will matter will be your immunity, your wellness, your mental health. And that is why coping became the key word. In the corporates, in the social sector, coping. How do you cope with a situation which you never thought?
A coping mechanism is what we,
Huh.
yes, yeah.
So
Yeah.
rather than psychology focusing on defense mechanism, during the pandemic, we spoke a lot about coping mechanisms. And
That
I
is
think
also a skill, ma'am. That is also a
that's one
life
of the
skill.
most important skill.
This
Like in
skills.
school, don't we say everybody teaches you to be successful? Most important lesson is to learn. When I fail, how am I going to bounce back? Because everybody has to fail. There are various ways in which we will feel a failure, but then
Yeah.
no failure is permanent. So that is what is coping. And that's what I would suggest. It will be nice if families could sit together and talk about that. If this is a situation, just do a simple case study. In my office today, I had this situation. Suppose
Mm.
this happens to any one of us, how will we cope? It is so nice to see, sit with 10 teachers and give a problem and say, let us see how we will. It
Like a
is such a
brainstorming session,
absolutely.
where we pitch in
And
ideas and we talk about, yeah.
you will realize how beautifully we discover that all of us have something very unique in us. Like I did this sessions for this managers who are at Tata Steel in a mining plant. So they
Mm.
were very, very upset and stressed that with the mines getting closed, many of them had fear of losing job. So they had asked me to conduct this series on mental health for them. I had created an activity, Sonia, which I want all of us who are listening, my students, my colleagues here, I could make them do a happiness list. I said, everybody has to write 7 things which give you happiness. And the crux was, don't tell me. Now, the people who work with each other, the families who are together, you share it with each other what gives you happiness.
Wow.
After 10
Wonderful.
days, this man called me. He is a 55-year-old. He said, Saloni ma'am, जिंदगी के बहुत आखिरी में मैंने जिंदगी की इतनी बड़ी चीज डिस्कवर की. मैम, मुझे नहीं पता आपके सेशन के बाद मैं आपको क्या फीडबैक दूं, बट ये बता सकता हूं कि पिछले 10 दिनों में हम जब आपस में रोज बात करते हैं जूम पे, तो अब झगड़ा नहीं होता है. समहाउ एक सेंस ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट आ गई है. हर कोई एक दूसरे की बात को इम्पोर्टेंस देता है, सुनता है. पहले तो हम एक दूसरे की बात काटते थे. ऐसा लगता था जैसे हर कोई एक दूसरे को बताना चाहता है कि मैं ज्यादा जानता हूँ.
Hmm.
बट टुडे मैम देर इज अ काइंड ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट, देर इज अ सेंसिटिविटी, बिकॉज मैम जब हमने शेयर किया, वी ऑल रियलाइज that things which make us happy are so small. Then what are we fighting for, and why do we have so much of this rat race? He said, ma'am, ये rat race मुझे आपके एक्सरसाइज के बाद समझ में आई कि what makes us happy has to do with people around us and
Yeah.
how we feel and treat them.
Yeah, I feel this small things, ma'am, make a big difference in our lives. So
Absolutely.
we must give due importance to these
And
small
I
things.
think pandemic made many of us pick up these small things.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, since you were talking about, like families getting together, coming together and discussing what they feel and how they feel. So since we are all busy with our own lives, you see, we don't even get time to sit at the dining table like we used to do earlier. Like all of us
Absolutely.
together as a family sit
I
together and talk. We
remember,
don't do
Sonia,
that.
this our principal used to say, and it still echoes with me when you just now said, she said, a family which prays together stays together. A family that eats together will
Together.
always care for each other.
Yeah. And this is a verse in the Bible also, like he was saying, that we always fall
Absolutely.
back upon these scriptures, religious scriptures. And ma'am, I would also like to mention one thing. I know that many families abroad do this. They have this system of intervention. So whenever they feel that something is going wrong with the family, they're not ready to listen or to change or to cope. They have this intervention. They talk it out. And then these sort of tensions and disagreements is kind of melts away. So I feel that even Indian families, maybe weekly or monthly, whenever you feel, you should sit together and have these interventions when something is not happening right in your family.
Absolutely. And sometimes I have been doing it a lot in my family therapy sessions, Sonia,
Hmm.
especially with a lot of students who come from boarding school and then they find a lot of issues with their family. So I've always helped them to rediscover their own selves and their relationships. But what you are suggesting, you can help a lot of families when they come into a deadlock, they start avoiding each other,
Yeah.
nobody has a conversation, nobody has a common meal time. Some
Hmm.
of it is lifestyle, some of it is avoidance also. All the time having earphones, all the time,
Mobile
even when you
phone.
are with people. Like, no, I like it that in my family we have always followed it. I have a 26-year and a 24-year-old, two grown up sons, both working. But yes, there are certain times we have always respected. Everybody puts the mobile in the basket. We go out for dinner, we will put the mobiles, and it is that if you take your mobile, you pay the bill. Otherwise, mama foots the bill. But anybody picks up a mobile and
Nice
you are
one.
out. So, it can be a lot of fun also. So we have these, if we can just follow some of the things that in the morning when you get up, the first 2.5 hours has to be your time with family. You listen to a chant, you do yoga, you sit in the balcony and enjoy your cup of tea. You listen to birds, you take the dog for a walk, you go and buy vegetables. You can have 100 things to do, but no mobile,
But ma'am,
no
let me stop
screen
you.
time.
Unfortunately, we get out of bed and straight away inside the bathroom with the phones. You know that, right? This is the current lifestyle.
And that's what needs to change, because it is affecting our mental health. It is making all of us become very visually attached and detached to reality.
Ma'am, your video stopped.
Ah,
Yeah.
and that is why it is very, very important, Sonia,
Yeah.
that these small things we start working on. And you see how mental health will become much more obvious to people, because mental health has to do a lot with emotional and social quotient.
Yes, ma'am. True. Okay, ma'am. My next question. So, you know that we are all social beings, and mingling, meeting up, getting together has been an intrinsic part of human lives. So, somehow this has stopped due to social distancing as a part of government protocol. So, do you think this will hamper the mental growth in children and cause adverse effects?
Definitely, this is something which has become a area of interest and research for a lot of social psychologists and behaviorists. So, we are all looking at it that maybe the damage which it is doing to children below 10 years of age, very difficult to even tangibly put it into some kind of a data, because below 10 years is a peak time of socializing. That's the time children pick up language.
Yes, ma'am.
Most of the junior school kids, it's not about teaching them number or maths or English or history. It is more about putting them into a structure, a routine, learning their basic mannerisms. A child starts evaluating himself or herself vis-a-vis 50 more people around him who are of the same age, wearing the same uniform, thanks to our schools. But we are all different, we have different families. That socializing process for a whole millions of people right now across the world is truncated.
Yes,
Now the
ma'am.
children are stuck in their houses. Most of the parents are not doing much for socializing. The only socializing is you're all the time on the internet, or you are
Yes, ma'am.
watching YouTube videos, or you are with, I get cases also where a child cannot speak to another child, but he can speak to his cartoon character, because that is what his socializing is.
And
And when he
ma'am,
sees
yeah.
his parents, they are all the time either with an earphone, they are working from home, so he only sees. So when you ask this child, what do you want to do, he only sees this. And we all know children learn by imitation, by modeling, by seeing. So this is what they are seeing, that everybody puts up a earphone and you are looking at the screen. So I was asking this 3-year-old, I said, what do you see on the screen? He could not even tell me. There was nothing on the screen, but he just imitates that. That's how he feels, that I am like daddy and mummy, because I put up a thing and I am looking at a screen. But
Yes, ma'am.
neither is he reading, nor is he talking, nor because he doesn't have the language skills. And poorly, nobody is speaking to him. So, I wish, what you very rightly said, government has done commendable job when it comes to providing safety, managing logistics, the kind of things in a country like us where the distancing was so difficult. You have people living in one room apartments and 6 people there. But
Yes,
I
ma'am.
wish they would have used the word physical distancing rather than social
Social
distancing.
distancing. I know.
We
And
need physical distancing to check the virus spread, but we need more than ever social connect, to pull each other together, to hold hands in distress, to be there. I can tell you, when people have gone down with corona, initially it was not corona. More than that, it was fear and loneliness.
yes, ma'am.
I cannot talk to anybody. Nobody is there around me. I'm going to die like this. I was treating with this woman. She went to visit her daughter abroad. And look at it. She went in the month of February. March was Corona outbreak and she was stuck there in Dubai. Now this family approached me that, ma'am, we want you to counsel, because she went into depression. She had to be hospitalized because she had this fear that here it is an unknown country. I should have never left Calcutta. I did the biggest blunder of my life. Now I'm going to die here and you people will throw me in some canal. I should have never come here and I have to just go back. And she understood that she cannot go back. So she went into a absolute nervous breakdown.
Okay.
But today, look at her. I can tell you in last 3-4 months, she is so happy now because she has found some social connect. We made her talk to more people from the Indian community there. She now is teaching people how to make Bengali delicacies. She is teaching a group of children Bengali songs now because as a grandmother, she is so good at these things. And my greatest reward was when the last session I had, she said, अब नेक्स्ट सेशन में तुमको बताऊंगी, अभी बहुत बिजी हो गई हूं मैं, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है. I thought my job is done.
Yeah.
And this is what is social connect. You know, we don't need social distancing. We need social connect. But yes, we need physical distance.
Thank you for pointing that out, ma'am. So, ma'am, being a pioneer in field of counseling, especially in eastern part of India, and growing up, I have seen you, ma'am, start this one of a kind approach that about mental health. So, ma'am, how have you seen the stigma of mental problems changing?
I think when you remind me, Sonia, I still remember visiting Douglas Memorial so many years back and talking to your father, and he was so open and progressive about that. Yes, anything which will do good to teachers and all. And you know, in the last 20 years, I think I have done a lot of work on teacher advocacy. I always believe that teachers can be the first counselors for children.
Yes. Teachers
So
are
even
actually,
if
yeah.
you are a maths teacher or a physics teacher, a little bit of skills. That is why, you know, more than 2,000 teachers have a certificate from Umeed. So when I started my own initiative, one of our startup in psychological services, 10 years we have completed. What I can see is that recognition of problems are much higher now. There are more and more problems which are happening because of the new things like the digital technology, like cyber bullying, addiction with gadgets, social media related stalking, a lot of cyber safety issues. So, you know, issues have become much more pertinent now. You can go and talk to another girl who is saying bad things to you. But what do you do when there is something pasted on the Facebook wall,
Wall
which you don't
timeline, yeah.
even know because somebody has hacked your ID? So, you know, with these kind of helplessness, I definitely see that there is more need for people to accept and talk. Communities need to come together and create boundaries. And you know why I say boundary is because in this madness of freedom, we have not understood that what a boundary does. Now, if you look at a boundary wall of your campus, of your school, what does it do? Does it restrict you or does it define you? Nobody can commit any nuisance inside your boundary. But suppose you break the boundary wall. Does it give you freedom or does it make you vulnerable? Anybody passing on the road can just enter because there was no boundary. So, you know, we need to understand this in our families, in our relationships, in our community, that boundaries were important to define your personal space. And that is how people can keep their mental health, their physical health, their relationships intact. Now, in this madness of freedom, we are breaking more and more boundaries. Like if I tell you marriage, what was marriage? Marriage is a social commitment, it's a boundary. Now, if you have live in relationships, look at it. Has it made relationships stronger? Has it made society better? It has more problems. So, you know, a certain amount of boundaries is what we should definitely have. And that is why I think social psychologists, peace psychologists, these are the kind of psychological fields which are more important now for people to major in rather than only clinical. because a
Okay.
social psychologist, like I majored in educational psychology, I did my specialization in child psychology, Sonia. That is how I chose to work a lot with schools and colleges, because I realized the job of a psychologist is prevention, it is educating, it is advocating, it is empowering. That is why the catch slogan of Umid is we enable, empower, and energize people. We have never used words like we cure people. No, it's not about sickness, it's about enabling and empowering people. So that is how I think this whole field of stigma would be much, much lesser in the times to come. I see a lot of young people moving forward to take this as a profession,
Mm-hmm.
like TIS Guwahati, TIS Mumbai,
Yes.
Christ University, Loyola. They have professional courses given, and people can major in social psychology, educational psychology, and then they can be working in the social work field.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's how psychologists will have a very less stigmatized role in the field of enabling communities and societies.
So, ma'am, your suggestion to the viewers would be to be a part of this social psychology and peace psychology, and
Absolutely.
just not, clinical psychology like
Yeah,
you
if you
have.
look at it, check it out, and you will see, Sonia, that most of the top engineering colleges, IITs and NITs, in their first years, they have made psychology as a compulsory subject, because dealing with yourself and dealing with other people is integral to any job. So
Yes,
even
ma'am.
if you are an engineer or you are dealing with machines, machines will again be run by people. So till you are a people's manager, you cannot be successful.
Hmm.
Similarly, if you look at your MBA courses, all MBA courses have a paper on human psychology, understanding human behavior,
Okay,
right?
ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
more and more professions, psychology will become very integral to human beings. And I would definitely suggest that people now who are majoring into psychology in it, if you look at it, Indians, the population we have, the educated mass of youth we have, it is largest in the world. So every fifth person in another 10 years walking on this planet will be an Indian. So any one of us who's doing study on the Indian subcontinent, on the human value systems, the belief systems, it has a lot of advantage. Even a Procter and Gamble will hire a person now with psychological background, because when they have to do a market study, what people would buy, who does the market study? The
Hmm.
person who understands human psyche.
Like on. Hmm. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please suggest a few ways on how children of different age groups can use their time productively and constructively without getting detracked or derailed from the right path, given the current circumstances?
One which a lot of people are doing now is playing games, keeping 1 hour time. Like we used to have a TV time and a homework time and a school time and an office time. If we can create some kind of a gaming time where we play games. Now these games can be vocabulary games, they can be the old games like Ludo or Snake and Ladder, depending on the age group of the children in the house. We should definitely play some board games, because they build a lot of life skills.
Yes, ma'am.
They help you to know each other, they teach you healthy competition, they teach you to win and lose, but keep playing. So whether it is card games, games, carom boards, whatever is available, definitely one thing which will make the whole family spend very productive time with each other. It strengthens relationship. It allows young children to see their parents that okay, they also have this childlike quality, mama could also play, that's so nice. And
I know
parents
my
will
parents play
also,
Ludo, ma'am, still.
ah, so
And they're
lovely.
very competitive.
I am so happy to hear that. I've been playing that.
Okay.
Second, a very productive way to use this time when children at home are do some kind of a life skill training. Now, life skill can be one of the major one is cooking. you know Most of us have started looking at cooking as it is a maid's job, or it is a third grade job, or I am a boy, why should I do it?
Yeah.
Even for girls, I am educated, why should I do it?
That
you
cooking is
know
a life skill. Everybody should.
Absolutely. It has no gender thing.
Yeah.
So I would definitely request that. I keep saying it in all my workshops with children. I have shown videos and pictures where both my boys are cooking, laying the table, and they're helping, because cooking is a very gratifying thing. It is something which you do, and within 2 hours, you have an outcome and you can taste it and you can get appreciation.
Hmm.
So, it's a very, very reinforcement activity. When you are stressed out, go and bake something, bake a cake, you'll start feeling better.
Yeah,
Serve
it's a
it to two,
stress
three people,
buster.
people say, wow, that's nice, you start feeling better. So many of you who have a mood problem, mood management, ma'am, I am very moody, hook on to cooking any kind. You can do baking, you can do grilling, you can specialize in non-fry cooking, you can do cooking on maybe oven or maybe even microwave. There are many options available, but cooking is a complete science of getting ingredients, planning, delivering it,
It is. It is.
right? So
Yes.
these various stages are very important for us to learn planning. And that is why I would very strongly recommend that during this pandemic time, when we don't have routines to follow, please find time somewhere on weekends, maybe 3 days in a week. Spend time with your children, especially if they are anywhere from age group 6 years to 22, 26 years. It's a life skill to be doing, very productive. And if children can learn this, later on when they're all alone, most of them for higher studies will be living by themselves. It's a very, very useful skill. It is also a very good proven method of mood management.
Okay.
Third,
No, ma'am.
my suggestion is, reading has become very, very low. People are only skipping. If you look at, even newspapers now have digital version, and they say, ma'am, attention span is less than 5 seconds. So
Yeah.
whatever you have to say, it is less than that. If we can go back to the age old merit of reading. So maybe if we can find a half an hour time slots where one person can read and the others could listen and talk about it. Another thing which we have done with families is, you take one article, make 6 pieces of it. Different people have to read different pieces, and then we all
Mm.
sit together and read our parts, and then
Yes,
we
ma'am.
discuss. So
Nice. Nice.
these kind of things can make people come together and develop skills. So the things which I have suggested, they will help in social quotient, they will help in emotional quotients also. And if they become a habit over a period of time, it is very, very self rejuvenating.
Yeah. So we're not just talking about IQs anymore. We're talking about SQs and EQs. Very,
They
very
are more
important.
important because you can
Yes.
build them up, and
Yeah.
our happiness ultimately is not decided by our IQ. Look at the geniuses of the world. Look at what happens to Steve Jobs.
Yes, ma'am.
What he said before he died, I think something which everybody needs to realize, that the Steve Jobs is considered to be a guy with maximum IQ measured ever.
Yes, ma'am.
But look at it, his EQ was a wreck. His entire life, he could not maintain any relationships.
Chips. He was a failure there. If
Because
he's, yeah,
look at it, he lost his own company, he
yeah,
lost his friend, he could never have any. And was he a very happy person? In the world's eye, he was a very successful person.
person.
But was he a very happy person? Was he very content? Did
Yeah.
he feel like that? Why
And
did he leave those messages for the world to think about?
yes. And ma'am, I feel that everybody has their own definition of success. So it
Absolutely.
cannot just be measured by the amount of money or wealth you have. Right. So,
Absolutely. That is
yeah.
why this question of yours, that, ma'am, how people can spend time, these are some very basic things which, if people could do, they will find so much joy right there in your. Because how have we found joy? I keep seeing parents taking children to malls, buying things for them. It is absolutely that economic theory of diminishing values. Each gift you get
Yeah.
is giving you lesser happiness than the earlier one, because there are so many all around,
Yeah. You'll want more and more.
and you
Yeah.
never feel satisfied.
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
That is why helping people to do something, and next can be doing anything creative. Try and decorate a part of your house, try and create something with your hands. It can be
Yeah.
painting, it can be rangoli, it can be any such thing. Anything which you do with your hands, anything which you do will be very, very self constructing.
Yes, ma'am. I think during these dark times, art has come to our rescue. Where,
Absolutely.
yes, we're listening to recitals, I mean, poetries, and or maybe writing poetries, or drawing, painting, or dancing, singing. These have helped us. This has
People have
been,
realized that
yeah,
these are always within you and you didn't need to depend on anybody else to entertain you
yeah.
or give you happiness. Music is a structured therapy now.
Yes, ma'am. There is music therapy also. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Music
yeah.
and dance are now
Art
therapy.
therapy, art therapy. Yeah.
Art therapy, I learned art therapy in Vimans in Delhi so many years back, and I've been using it with a lot of children. But I realized that why these became therapies, because they were a part of our life. Every school was offering it as co-curricular, but so many people never invested any time into nurturing it. It
Hmm.
was more of a competition. So many children they gave up art. Why? Because I'm not good. So this competition killed the whole spirit of
Yes, ma'am.
enjoying.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Ma'am, what about the special needs kids who suffer from Down syndrome, maybe dyslexia, learning disabilities? So, how should parents look out for such children during these times?
These children, my heart goes out to them. More than working with them, I have been helping a lot of parents there. So, this pandemic time have really been very, very tough for these children, because anyway, their social relationships are difficult. Now, with this kind of a lockdown, so many parents have found themselves locked up in a flat with a child with
Yeah.
Down syndrome or a child with dyslexia. There are a lot of resources on the net available which I have been helping parents with. My suggestion there is very limited, friends. You will have to hang on to your faith. Try and bring in as much joy and variety you can with your child. Don't be into any such frame that the time is getting wasted. With these children, the time you have at present is the best time. So make the most of it by helping your child to feel loved and accepted, because when they see you stressed out, when they see you angry, upset, helpless, they hate themselves. They feel worse because they cannot do anything about it.
Mm.
So that was
Okay.
one thing which I would definitely like people to remember, that when you have a child with special needs, more, when you are not able to provide them more resources, it is not required that you have to send them to these classes, because in a pandemic all that is not happening. So try and get resources on the net available, but be there with them. Let them feel that they are accepted. Whatever little small steps they are taking, see to it they are encouraged and appreciated. And they are made to feel that they are a part of your family and you are not bothered. Fine. 7 months during this time, if you have not learned any skill and you have not got registered and you haven't done, nothing goes haywire. We are together, you are safe, you are my child, and I'm happy with
Yeah.
you.
Having each other during these times is much more important, I think, ma'am.
Easy to say.
Yeah.
I know how stressful it becomes for parents, but then the solution lies in your own hand. If you start becoming very erratic and you start feeling helpless and you start feeling very depressed about this whole situation, it will transfer to your child.
Okay, ma'am. Last question, ma'am, for the teachers, your suggestions to them. How should teachers balance their work for home and work from home life amidst such crisis without losing sanity and becoming unhinged?
A lot of things which I have said applies to teachers as it applies to everybody else, Sonia, but you're
Yeah.
right. Many teachers, the way they have managed their work and life is that when I come to school, I forget home. अब 7 बजे स्कूल पहुंच गए and till 2 o'clock I am not thinking about it. When I
Yes,
go back home, then
I will tell you once you finish.
so those are the people who are having a tough time, that now school has come a part of your home. You have a class at 9, then you have another one at 10:30, then again you have to log in at 12, then you have a 3 o'clock meeting, then you have a 5 o'clock workshop. Oh my god, I'm going nuts. Here, what I would only suggest is count your blessings and see. You are not traveling. You don't have to hitch and hike a bus and reach a place. You don't have to be out in the pollution. Even when you are taking a class, 5 minutes written instruction, you can supervise a child or help a housemate. So
Hmm.
it is all about being very calm. So my one suggestion for all the teachers is, first of all, do this deconditioning. This conditioned pattern ki my life was organized because दोनों का अलग टाइम टेबल था. मैं घर आके स्कूल नहीं सोचती थी और स्कूल जाके घर नहीं सोचती थी. You know, that's a very limited way of managing it.
Hmm.
Understand, even when you were at school, you were a mother, you were also somebody's daughter, you had an ailing mother, god forbid, all that was affecting you then also. Today you are in the confines of your home, you have more access to resources within your home, so reorganize it. It is all about creating a pattern in your mind, which starts with, first, let yourself have a deep breathing exercise. Start your day every day 20 minutes before the rest of the family, and give yourself that 10 minutes of time for self talk. That constructive self talk in the beginning of the day. I am blessed to have a family. I am blessed that I have children, they are safe. My parents are there. I have access to a house and 2 square meals, and I still have a job. I am very happy. And I know I can handle all of this. Sounds simple, but constructive silence is very important for our convictions. I do that every day. Most of you know me. I travel 20 days in a month. Every day I am standing in front of audience of 200, 300, doing a day's workshop, again traveling. How have I coped in pandemic? I started doing a lot of things which were on my bucket list and I could not do earlier. Gardening was one of them. I have made a complete terrace garden in the last 6 months. Every day morning, my 20 minutes is constructive silence with plants. Because Umid was about growing, it's nurturing. If I could not nurture people during that time, I didn't want to lose on it. I started nurturing plants. That's why, we all have to create a pattern which is of I can do it. What helps you is gratitude. Count your blessings have been the songs we have been singing.
Yes, ma'am.
Today I've realized the meaning of it. That when you know that I have these things, it is like pillars of strength. When you have that, you realize that I'm important for my family. I'm important. I am needed for my husband. I'm needed for my children. My mother depends on me. My dad depends on me. I am the present. I am the generation which has to support both. So you feel very enabled. So start with that 20 minutes of constructive silence and try and have 10 minutes of that before you go to sleep. That will be a very good way of balancing your emotional and mental health. Anytime when you have pressure, you start feeling there is too much, I cannot do it, be a little easy on yourself. Tell yourself, I am human, I am getting tired, it's okay to take rest. Pushing yourself and feeling irritated and getting frustrated and scolding a child and then feeling frustrated with a class, don't make the cycle become vicious, friends.
Yes, ma'am.
What I would like to suggest is, tell yourself it's okay. Maybe my lesson today was not good, children did not respond, I need to work on it, I will take a suggestion, I'll talk to my coordinator, I'll talk to a colleague. Be a little easy on yourself. Don't try to be perfect all the time. Don't try that everything you are doing and everything has to be perfect like before, so I am killing myself. That is something which many women are doing to themselves, which is making this time more difficult for
Yes, ma'am.
them.
I would
Remember,
like, yeah.
yeah, remember that my life is my family and my work is my choice. I have taken it. I have pride in it.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that is why I have to do it to enjoy it. Why am I making it something which is killing me? That was not the idea.
The point that you mentioned, very relevant point. We should not be internalizing all these vicious and these negative emotions inside of us. So talk more, speak more, reorganize, redefine your lives.
And ask
Yeah.
for help. Like I was telling you, that you involve your children to help you. Why are you creating this? Earlier, children were going to school, they were not there. Now they are there, involve them. Please divide work, please delegate, involve your son, your daughter, your husband into various things.
Yes, ma'am.
Not easy, but let's give it a try. It will give you your own moments of joy and humor. They make errors, but then we can all laugh and put things together. My husband, even at age 57 today, has started picking up some pieces. And I'm telling him that pandemic is preparing us for retirement life. So you better pick up some pieces. So
Nice
right
to
from
know.
making a cup of tea or putting certain things and all,
He's
you know,
doing all that.
yeah, absolutely.
He
And he's
should
doing
be.
it
He
with a
should be.
smile. He's enjoying it, right? So we have two pet dogs. So I've been training
Yeah.
a
I've
lot
been
of,
hearing the barking of
yes, I'm
dogs
so
in the
sorry,
background.
but then all the pet lovers will be there with
Yeah.
me because
Yeah.
they are telling me that it's time for their evening walk.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that. I go for an evening walk with them. So, find out so many things on your bucket list, which when we
Yes,
were
ma'am.
so busy and going to school and coming back from school and work and then again managing things, please delegate,
Yes, ma'am.
please divide, please be easy on yourself and don't try to be perfect on anything. Nobody is going to give you a medal. But yes, you get frustrated and you are upset, and everybody says, who told you to do this much? Leave it. And then we feel more bad, right? So I'm speaking straight from heart here.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's
You
do these.
always speak from heart, ma'am, and you have a brilliant sense of humor, and you're so, so, so witty. I'm in awe of you when you speak. And, ma'am, thank you so much for this brilliant and enriching, educative session. I enjoyed it thoroughly, thoroughly. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Pleasure
And
was all mine. Honor was all mine. Sonia, God bless you. May you move from strength to strength. I feel
oh, ma'am,
so proud of you, Bitter.
thank you,
And
thank you.
yes, I do
And
hope that this talk enables everybody around to connect, take some few snippets and use it. We are lucky to have a life. We are all blessed. So
okay,
God bless you. Take care of
yeah.
yourself. Stay safe, but be socially connected.
Yeah. So, ma'am, one last thought. Thank you so much for enabling, empowering, and energizing us with your words of wisdom, ma'am. And I'm sure that our viewers today have enjoyed it as much as I have. So, look forward to more such video podcasts. And until then, take care and stay safe. Thank you.